Big fish deal 6. Hello YouTube. Good afternoon, good evening. I just come back from the Big Fish Deal 6 in Rockville, Maryland. I went down the other day and I had to meet with Jeff Raps to pick up some more Gold Bar Midas. Saturday night. I arrived Saturday night and Raps arrived Saturday night as well. I had a lengthy conversation with Jeff Raps about the Red Isletas, the history behind the Red Isletas and how they got here into the hobby. So as you know, we talked for a while, not only about Red Isletas, but some other amps that I own. Well, the other amp Philophus, mainly the Midas Complex that I own. And I was just getting some brief history on those particular fish. As you can see right here is a little, it's Isletas off of Surf and Benetton. He's showing bars already at 1.5 inches. Right here we have Knucklehead. Knucklehead is F2 Red Isletas. He's the only one in this tank. I have Red Isletas in other tanks, but I just want to focus in on him while I'm talking Red Isletas. But anyway, I asked Raps about the Red Isletas, and he told me that he had a guy who works at the university who studies fish and the Amphilophus species in particular, and he went to do some collecting, and he came about an island on Lake Nicaragua, the Crater Lake, and supposedly it's an island somewhere located on that lake, and behind that island was a shallow, muddy area, and he was able to collect some fish there, and the fish that he collected were the fish that you see right here, the Red Isletas. Now he was explaining to me that the word Isletas means island in Spanish, and he said the crazy thing about the Red Isletas was, in this particular area, there were Isletas of all size and ages there. There were adults, adolescents, and babies there. He said this particular area was an area that the citronellus would never frequent. And I think he was referring to the depth of the area, because he said it wasn't a real deep area there. It was kind of shallow and muddy and, just a hard place to live, basically. But he said that he came to the conclusion that they were related to the citronellus because of the shape, and they look like the other barred citronellus. He also explained to me that he never did a DNA on the fish, So there was no telling whether they were true citronellus or not. He just pretty much went by their looks, basically saying that they look like the other barred citronellus, and there were citronellus in that lake, but not in that particular area of the lake. As you see, Knucklehead doesn't have any bars right now. He just pretty much, I guess he's in relaxed mode. Um, but he said he imported the fish here, and he sold them, in the hobby. And one of the reasons why he stopped selling the Isletas, and he was mainly talking not only with the Isletas, but he mentioned the Eloensis, and he was saying that it's hard to sell those fish. It's hard to sell the barred citronellus. I think it's because of their look. It's pretty plain and generic, and they all, for the most part, they all look alike. So he said, when he have a hard time selling fish, and he's in the business of selling fish, he pretty much, get rid of the fish, and just and he's not bothered with breeding and selling them because they don't move fast enough. So that was the reason why he don't sell the Isletas anymore, the Eloensis anymore, the Amarillo, and the list goes on, because it's a hard fish to sell. I think once in a while, once you don't see those fish around anymore, they become a little more popular, or because there's not a lot of people with them anymore, or not a lot of people pushing them. This Isletas is one of my favorite. My very favorite is the Hoka Boomerang. And he was mentioning about the Hoka Boomerang. He was saying that how they were hard to sell, and nobody's been back to Honduras to collect them really, so that's why they're not a lot of the Hoka Boomerang around. But it's a real good, long conversation we had, and about different species, and the Midas complex and all, so I just wanted to share that little bit. I think I'll be sharing a little more about our conversation in some other videos, but from my understanding, when he brought these back, it was just this particular look. There wasn't a lot of variety with just this look, and they was just considered another barred species of the citronellus. As you can see, my little babies here. They'll grow up looking just like this guy. But anyway, thanks for listening, YouTube. Please subscribe, comment, like, share. Peace. Here's my man, Red October. He's a red Isletas. Young little guy, about 5 inches. It's an awesome little fish. Red October.